I see the little orange box that says live.
I'm waiting for everything to kick in, including my. I don't have one. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't work here. You're good. Someone just asked me if they can come in without a mask on.
Okay, I'm seeing the notification. Brave Daily is live.
Sweet. I'm just gonna wait a second while I help people who are coming in.
Before the end of the day, Jason's going to be a barista
Dude.
in the back making lattes.
I drink your lattes. This is a beautiful idea.
I worked at Starbucks for like 3 or 4 years. So I mean,
Really?
I feel like that's kind of a requirement once you get your master's is to go and work at a Starbucks for a few years. So yeah.
Oh, how would I have to look forward to in a couple months?
Absolutely.
Sorry,
I think
Depending on what your master's is in, yeah.
it's usually like especially if you want to go into ministry, you've got to work at Starbucks for a stint for some sort of couple years. So Richard, I think you did this backwards.
Yeah, that way you know how to run the puppy stand at the church.
The communications team at work that my team, I think like 3/4 of them have been baristas at some point. So not intentional, but yeah. So I guess I should get this rolling. We're a few minutes in. So yeah. So if you're watching live, thank you for watching live. If you're watching later, thanks. Really just for spending time with us to walk through the platform a little bit, to walk through Logos Bible software. We're going to walk through what I think we have. The title is 9 things that we love. We have a list of half of that, but there's like a gazillion things to talk through within the platform. And we also don't have like a super defined flow of things. We have it pretty general. I feel confident in that, but if you have a question and you're watching, drop a comment or another like side trail that we can go off. We're going to try to keep it to like 30 minutes and then run through these different features at a really high level. But if we go further, I think most of us are cool with that, except for Richard. He's just like busier than all of us, so I don't know if he can make it. He can bounce.
It's just Halloween. That's all.
Oh, happy Halloween! What are you dressed
Happy
up as,
Reformation
Richard?
Day.
Reformation.
Me, I'm dressed up as a upset and frustrated middle-aged man right now.
You like absolutely nailed it. It's perfect.
You know, right?
Yeah. All right. So that's an easy segue to get things rolling here. Rylan, I think the plan is
midlife crisis.
Open the counseling guide up to the year of 2020. The topic is the year 2020.
It's a very long article.
Rylan, I'm going to pull up your screen, and I think we're going to kick off with Factbook 2.0. If that works.
Absolutely. So
right,
I love Factbook. I never used it much before. I found other ways to do it, but let me see if I can open up nope. So I love Factbook 2.0, and I didn't use it a whole lot before because I felt like there were other ways to kind of get there. But then when Logos released this, and they're like, "This is going to be your starting hub, kind of the place to start," I was a little skeptical. But there's been several things that I think are fantastic, and just 2 things I want to mention that I think could be helpful to anyone who's using it for the first time, especially if you're coming over from Word Search or you're brand new to Logos. This is just a fantastic tool. So maybe you might be like me where you took 4 semesters of Greek and you don't really remember much. The Factbook is great because it's going to let you kind of get into your technical commentaries and understand grammar a little bit more. So let's say we pull up like Ephesians, and I really like this copy of Ephesians. Harold Honer's Ephesians, and so it's a more technical edition of a commentary for Ephesians. A lot more Greek, a lot more exegetical material, some application, but it's really geared towards like getting deep into the text. So he'll sometimes use grammar and grammar terms that I'm not real familiar with. And the beautiful thing about the Factbook is it lets you search those things. So let's say we're right here. when it talks about the genitives of origin. I've heard that word genitives, but I'm not really sure what it is. You just type that sucker in, look for it, and then it's going to pull up. And what's beautiful about it is it gives you, it has like this new Greek grammar ontology. The same thing is for Hebrew. It lets you know all of the parts of speech. So, it tells you the genitive cases generally used to qualify or restrict a relation. And then the thing I love about it too is it pulls in your books, and it pulls in books that you might want to buy. So like, I don't think I've got this one. Oh, I do have that one. Look at me. I don't have this one. I don't have Mounce's. And but it's going to let you know, hey, if you really get into Greek grammar, there's books that you can buy that are going to help that. So that's one thing I love about the Factbook is being able to search grammar. I don't know how many times I've been in a passage and studying for a sermon, and there was some grammar thing that a commentary mentioned I didn't know, and I had to go through grammar books to find it. This pulls that right there together. The second thing I find fantastic is you can search authors and people within the Factbook outside of the Bible, and it's going to open up like a world of information for you. So I'm a pretty big John Walton fan. Who is he still at Wheaton?
Yeah, he's still there.
Still at Wheaton. His stuff on the Old Testament just changed my whole worldview about the Bible and the ancient Near East. But like when you search his name, it's going to come up. It's not for every person in the entire world or every person within like Christianity or academia, but it's really substantial. I mean, Factbook has like added 10 times what they had before. But here you get like a paragraph about who he was, some biographical information. And then when you go down to works, I think this is so cool. It's going to show you all the stuff you have in your library. But even more important than that, because you can do that in a library search, but more important than that, it's going to give me a list of all the stuff I don't have within my library. And so if you like an author and you find an author that you like, and you're like, I'd like to read more of it.
And he froze.
Yeah, I was just waiting a second. I think hoping he'll pop back on. I did want to jump in anyways and talk about how he doesn't own Mounce's Basics of Biblical Greek, which you should probably just pool money and buy that for him, because
I mean, it is the basics, right?
It's the basics. Just saying.
Yeah.
Can you shoot him a message and let him know that he froze? And then Richard, we can also keep rolling. We could keep rolling with things too.
Yeah, no, I mean, okay. So personally, just to double down on what Ryland's talking about, I'm pretty amazed. I didn't realize it would do like that genitive stuff. Like I mean, Factbook's phenomenal for just getting everything in logos, not just the biblical text. So I was pretty impressed with that. I mean, as far as things that we love and everything, I know one of the things that I'm utilizing a lot this past week is Sermon Manager. I'm a youth pastor. I have certain responsibilities preaching in big church to the old folk, and in addition to that, I do baptisms, weddings, funerals. I get invited to chapel services every once in a while. So there's a lot of things that go on as far as creating content and sermons. And the Sermon Manager has just been like, I mean, it's been a huge benefit and blessing to me organizing stuff, especially because I've been building a bunch of content in the sermon editor prior to in Logo 7 and 8 or whatever it is. And I already have, I have a collection of about 300 personally created documents with that. So it just pulled it all in, and it began to take some of the metadata that I've already put in and organize it. And I just spent, a short evening going through and kind of clearing that out. So it's pretty, I don't know, it's been pretty neat. Looking at like how the radial calendar works, like one of my favorite things is because I preach in so many different aspects and forms. When I began to look through like some of the metadata, it began to add more circles to it. So as I'm planning out like my Wednesday night service, as I'm planning out my Sunday night service or my Sunday morning service, it creates different levels and layers where they don't get mixed up and jumbled. So over here, you have your radial calendar. So over the top, I have my Wednesday nights, the Rock Youth Wednesday nights. So I have my services up here. And then on the second circle, I have my Sunday mornings. So I already began to plan December. I'm going to get ready to go into January, February, March. And I can plan two consecutive sets of services in addition to keeping track of when I minister on Sunday nights or whatever it is in the main sanctuary and big church. And then on top of it, my ceremonies, I'm categorizing a service and time as ceremonies for weddings, funerals, and I'm beginning to add those in too. So already, I'm filling out calendar upon calendar. And I can, and then I know like Logos, the guys at Logos are looking in the future to begin to maybe implement some type of I don't know if it's scheduling or some type of collaboration, but once I do this, where they go with it, man, if you guys are listening, I'd love for some type of collaboration where I can plan an entire year and begin to share and roll out and scheduling and stuff like that. But that's been a huge blessing to me.
I know that we're not gonna really go down idea trails, but I work in communications, and if I could have a collaborative way for my leadership team to share the sermon schedule or the topics or the passages with us in communications in a way that I could look at everything. I never thought about the collaborative nature of it. If they could open that up to people on the same team or in a faith life group that have everybody on the same page and part of the same organization or the same church, that could be pretty cool.
Yeah, sometimes even if it was a website where you can go and some type of shared location, I think it'd be pretty rad. And then I could see children's youth and sanctuary or whatever getting involved in something like the radio calendar and then synchronizing themes and stuff.
I think because there is faith life groups, you can connect to calendars from faith life groups. So it may take some configuration, but there's something that can be done there.
So that's really interesting too, because they have the calendars up here, and I noticed that it synced up with a lot of groups that I'm involved in with on faith life groups, which I don't really look at. But now I see that I can if they were to synchronize calendars, then potentially you could utilize this type of sermon manager with whatever type of synchronized things going on. Because right now, we know the different U.S. holidays that are going on and stuff like that. So I can make sure that I don't miss Mother's Day or whatever. So I don't know. I love the visual of it. I mean, the chart's pretty cool too. But being able to schedule things ahead of time, being able to say, I want to create 5 blank documents on this Christmas series is pretty darn cool. So the sermon manager has been rocking my world, man.
That's cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
David, are you ready to jump in next?
Yep.
Yeah, and we can talk reading plans a little bit, it looks like.
Oh, so reading plans is another one that they've done some substantial improvements on. Previously, what you had to do is go in and create a new reading plan document, which worked, but it was a little tedious. So what you can do now is you can open up the resource itself. And of course, right now my Logos decides to freeze. You can open up the resource itself, go to the information page, and you can start a reading plan right there. So any book you see either in your library or in one of your collections, you can go on ahead and start it. The other major benefit or the major change is you can do it at your own pace. Now, you can still choose to do everyday days or whatever, and you can take reading plans you've already created and move them over. That can be a little finicky, though, so I wouldn't recommend saving that until you mess around with it a little bit. But you can read at your own pace. So this book is broken down by book of the Bible, and then there's no deadline on that. The other major thing is on mobile. Instead of having to have a different panel open for every single reading plan, and then for every single reading resource, and then having to go back to home and find anything new, it actually has its own panel for reading plans. And then from there, you can go back and you can find any reading plan that you have set up. You can find reading plans that are shared with groups. You can open up the reading plan itself from within there and read everything directly, which is just a heads up. If you do a custom reading plan where it does broken down by pages, on mobile it may break up by pages, but you can open up the resource directly from there, the entire resource, and make sure you get the whole passage. If you're reading at your own pace and it breaks it down by chapter, though, then it's just phenomenal. It's an incredible improvement in what you can do with reading plans. So it's just so much easier and so much more efficient. I love
It
it.
may break up by pages, but you can open up the resource directly from there, the entire resource, and make sure you get
hearing some feedback.
if you're reading at your own chapter.
Okay,
That was strange.
no biggie. Cool. Thanks, David. And you got through that without mentioning faith life groups, but that's big for you. You're like the biggest advocate on the team for faith life groups. Richard, I'm excited that you're starting to dig into them. You were pretty pumped about that. Oh, audio is muted. There we go.
Are you okay? Yeah, those groups, man. I'm telling you. It's like flies to honey.
I'm going to just mention a couple different things. It looks like some just feedback was popping through, but no big deal. So I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm just going to talk through two things real quick, which is the charts feature, and then just the fact that a counseling guide exists now, which didn't exist before. So when we were talking beforehand, guys, and we were going to pull up the counseling guide, I think I had the word anxiety up there. So I changed it from anxiety to hope. I don't know. It seemed a little stressful to me. But you should be able to see my screen, I'm thinking, right?
Oh, yeah. That's great.
Perfect. So, Richard and Rylan, both, you were talking about like being in ministry and then working with different individuals and having this feature available and how it breaks down topically and how to address some different feelings or different topics in counseling, right? And so they've added the counseling guide, and that's available now underneath tools or underneath the guides tab. And then the other thing that's just fun to explore, and if you haven't yet, I would say to make sure you pull up the charts feature that's inside of tools. And there are like all these crazy ones. I think David sent a picture of like a flame at some point, which is what I was looking for real fast. There's also like Bibles and books, but there are different ways to display information from a search onto charts now. And
Click on view, I think.
Click on view.
Yeah, I think that's where it is. You have to change it out of the central. Which I'll find it and I'll let you know.
Sweet. But yeah, just the ability to take all kinds of information in a chart that's easy to digest. So there were those two features, and then Rylan, were you able to take a peek at any of the comments on Facebook?
Yeah, so a lot of positive stuff. One question I got was how easy is it to copy my previous sermons into the new sermon manager? And I know they are working and talking about like doing a bulk thing with this so that it would be much easier than what it actually is. Right now, you've got to basically copy and paste the old sermons, whether it's Google Docs or Word, where you were ever at, and put them into a new sermon series. I did this with an 8-week sermon I preached back in 2013 this week just to see what that was like. The super great, like the very easy thing about it is that you can populate 8 sermons within the same series, so you're not having to go new doc sermon. Like you can create a sermon series, and then you got to copy and paste, and then upload the passages. So, like for the 8 sermons, it may have taken me 6 to 7 minutes. So it's not like a flawless, or it's not like a super quick thing. I know some guys in the forums and on the tips and tricks group talk about like there's no formatting. So like if they formatted their sermon in a certain way, it's not going to be formatted in the new when you copy and paste. I've never, like for me, I don't format my sermons in a document, and so that's not an issue for me. But if it is for you, that's something to look out for. But it's fantastic once you get the sermons tag, once you get the dates in, because you're able to. It's going to show up in your information. So I'm going to put all my sermons into Logos within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
sweet.
I'd say I think it's definitely worth it. I think the formatting, I know with the formatting is a little wonky. Like if I'm running bullet points or like bolding and stuff, it doesn't always translate over when I copy and paste. I found it better to like, I take small pieces instead of the entire thing and move it over. I don't know if it's me or Word or whatever, but I think it's definitely worth it if you do it a little at a time. I think if you do a little at a time, then I think it is worth it, because having it being able to be logged and then just being able to go through it. Because even like on the Sermon Manager, if you tag your scriptures and stuff, you can find out if you're like really going hard on 1 Corinthians and you need to expand out. You know, you can it logs all that kind of stuff, so you can see if maybe you're not focusing on a certain part of the scriptures and stuff like that. And then even being able to just have it available as a searchable resource. Ryland, totally worth it. I'd say totally worth it.
Totally worth it. Yeah, anything to get, like, so I've been with it for 2 years, and anything you can do, it's like the more you use it, the better it gets. And the more stuff you put in there, the better it gets. And so, but there is like a learning curve to Logos. Like if you're a new user and feeling like you don't know where to go. I mean, we've all started there. Like when we got it, there's like this learning curve of feeling like, I don't know how to use this, or I don't know what those buttons do. And as we say all the time, you can't break it. Or if you do, we'll be impressed. Like we'll applaud for you, because we've never seen it happen before. You're the person. You do it, but it's awesome.
I see Janice dropped a question over in Facebook saying there's sermons and logos, ? How do I access them? And chances are, if you own a library, chances are you probably own them. If you go to your library, type in the word sermons, you should be able to bring up some of those. But if you were to open like a passage guide, there should be a section that says sermons. So you type in a scripture, you should be able to pull some of those up. I mean, I know they have like public domain stuff. We're talking specifically about user-created ones. Mm-hmm. So if you were to go into your docs, then you'd find it there. And even if you went to public, people are publicly posting their poorly formatted sermons. And you'd be welcome to go jack any one of those as well, Miss Janice. Yeah. So I hope that answers the question. But
you just never mind. So there's one thing that what, Richard?
I'm a youth pastor. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're solid. There's two things. Two things is one. David wanted to share his screen, and then I'm going to jump back over to mine and share one more thing. That's not even that big of a deal, but we're going to do it for fun. So, David, go ahead.
Yeah, so just to clarify on the changing the image, what you can do in charts is if you go to pictorial, then you can pick at the top what image you want to use for it. So like this is the flame, and then it shows the breakdown of percentage where it's found. You can pick people, church itself. You can pick the Ark of the Covenant. You can pick Noah's Ark. And this actually, I think, would be a useful illustration for sermons. Like if you want to do, what Scripture says to men on Father's Day and what Scripture says to women on Mother's Day, you have two icons here, and then you can show, verses that talk about how men should act or how husbands should act. So you can get creative here in how you use them and just how you look at them.
I love it because it has the vibe of like a thermometer, a fundraising thermometer that goes in the church lobby. Like we've paid for this much. That's why I like that feature the best. It's
I failed to dig into something though. Before we jump to my screen, David, on yours, what do you? So like the search that you did right there, you're showing. I should make this a little bit larger on my screen. That way I'm not so dang close to it. But like, what is the search that you did there, and like, what sort of information in that particular instance is that communicating?
Okay, so one of the things that I love about Logos is in most things when you do a search, it's just a straight word by word. With Logos, you can do some really advanced searches that break down like what types of words you're looking for. Or in this case, what it's doing is it's looking for a sense. So it's talking about something, that type of word form. And in this particular one, it's looking for things about worry. And so as you can see, the word worry isn't really in here anywhere. Instead, it's talking about burdens of stuff that we carry and the yokes of, oppressors on them, basically. So there's a lot of really powerful searches you can do here that go well beyond just looking for the word worry in Scripture, and instead look at the concept being taught.
So you actually use the sense tool or the sense feature in that search, it looks like. So instead of searching for the word worry itself, you're looking for the word sense. for worry across different books of the Bible.
In case in point, let's go ahead and add the word worry to it. And now we actually have the word worry that wasn't showing up before, because it's just a word of worried versus the sense for it. So there's a lot of really powerful customization you can do in these searches. It takes a while to learn it, but it is so wonderful.
And you've got to update the chart every time, right? Like the chart, when you do a new search, don't you have to press the chart icon to get the new chart? Or like, so when I was playing around with it the other day, even if I had two panels open, I had to re-hit chart every time I did a new search.
Yes, and you can see what the chart is looking for up in the top.
Yeah.
It doesn't show you. It doesn't let you edit it, but it shows you what's actually being charted.
Awesome.
Nice.
Feature's huge.
Check that out. All right, so then we'll jump to one more thing just for fun. And if there are any other questions that you guys see in the live stream, or if anyone watching has a question they want to drop in and explore, we can also follow up afterwards. And as I'm doing this too, the Brave Daily team is working on a platform that is really just for coaching. And so if this is fun and helpful to work in an environment like this, where we're just walking through topics and we're sharing our screen and we're coaching and teaching in this way, in this format, then know that like we're available to coach you one-on-one. And so hopefully it's a low pressure environment, and it's just a time that you can ask questions instead of watching like hours of video or like reading through pages and pages of forms. We'll just pull up the screen, and then maybe you're a pastor, or maybe you're not in the pastorate at all and you're just a layperson. You just want to understand scripture and how to use the software much better than you do right now. We're down to work with you individually. And so you can learn more. I dropped a link in the comments, but bravedaily.com/live. Live has this feed. Live has coaching, like booking information, and then it has all the different communities that we're a part of, or that we help facilitate in order to help everybody out. So then I want to share one more thing for fun. Oh, and then David will hop in and share one more other thing. He just dropped a comment. But so you can see my screen. I already went through preferences. Everyone is talking about this. I'll be honest, I'm not the most excited about it, but I know that Richard absolutely loves it, and he's been waiting for this for like 15 years, 10 years. I'm kind of kidding. But I went through preferences, and I changed the application theme. So preferences is up here for your Mac. I changed my settings from light to dark. And in order to actually flip the entire platform into dark mode, you've actually got to close down the platform and then reopen it. So once you reopen it, David, do you want to do a little caveat on the highlighter while my platform reopens?
Yeah, so, well, I wanted to answer Rick's question. If you can share my screen real quick. So Rick is asking about their favorites tool or the favorites bar, and that's one of the new things they did, is not only do you have favorites you can add at the top, but what you can do is you can add them within folders. So the way you do that is you right-click on it, and you add in a folder name. So for instance, I'm going to call this test, and then that adds in the test folder with whatever is in there. Now to rename it, what you have to do is you have to right-click on the same thing you have sorted there, or the same favorite you have there, change the folder name within it, and then it'll change the folder. Or it'll add a new folder if you have other things in there. And to delete the folder, just erase it out of every tool that's in there. So whatever you have saved, like under my tools folder, I have these. If I were to right-click on all of them and erase the tools in there, it'll erase that tools folder itself. Wow. Or if I wanted to move it to a different folder, I just change it there. So it's not quite intuitive, but it is very easy to work with.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the way that I wanted to use it naturally when I started using it was like dragging resources over, and then they create a folder, right? Like the same way it does on your, like a mobile phone. So I don't know.
You can do that, but you can't.
Yeah. All right, so I just relaunched the platform, and It's great.
Whoa!
It actually looks
What is
pretty
this?
sick. So
Yeah, I like
we
the
finally
color
got
pattern
dark
right there.
mode, you know. Let's see. So finally got dark mode on this bad boy. I personally
Wow.
don't know when I would use it, but you know what? Maybe you're burning midnight oil or whatever that saying is. I can't remember it right, but you want to be working late at night and you want easy on the eyes, you know. So the entire platform is that way. The thing that I kicked over to David, that question, because he's like our notebook and highlight guru, right? Is what happens when you inverse all the colors in the entire platform, but your highlighters aren't inversing just yet. And so that's something that I feel like Logos will come back around and get to, but in order for it to work really well. I think that's the roundup for today, but unless you guys have anything before we hop off. All right. We're going to end on dark mode.
I do want to
Revolution.
say, like, if people are watching this, I think all of us really appreciate everybody in the Tips and Tricks group and all the Brave Daily group.
Yeah.
It's a really neat community, the way people interact and help each other, and just a lot of positivity and people reading the Bible. It's a neat thing to belong to.
Yeah, I'd say the same. I mean, I just seeing everybody jumping in as a community, answering each other's questions, being supportive. Every time a gift drops, that always puts a smile in my heart. And I'm just really glad to see like the engagement grow. I've been super blessed by some of you guys, and even like with some of the coaching calls and stuff I've been doing. Shout out to Jean. I'm used to typing it. Yeah, we're in West Africa, Robin, and all the crew, man, to all the people we've got a chance to meet. So you guys are the best. And thanks for making Tips and Tricks awesome.
For sure. Yeah, I didn't have any idea that it would be as like active and collaborative, I guess, like as it is right now. So it's pretty cool to see. Yeah.
Right. I love it, man. And then and even people posting their own tips and everything. So this is super cool, man. You guys are the best.
You're the best, Richie.
Well, thank you.
All right, cool. That's it for today. We're going to sign off and just watch the group, watch the page, and we'll keep doing this. But if you need any help at all, visit bravedaily.com/live. These guys, and then there's a handful of others that would love to sign up for coaching sessions with you one-on-one. So take it easy and have a good one.